All right, we are live. 8:30, now 8:29. Not too shabby. Let some people get in here, then we'll do the intro, the open, and start things that way. There's our notification. Podcast recording / 1 year in the books. Quite a few fishermen and a fisherwoman.
I just got that. Very impressed.
I like that. Awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pop this over here. And I think we're business. Cool. All right, we got a few people watching over here. Guys, we are doing our recording for this week's episode live on our YouTube and our Facebook page as well. So that way you guys can just kind of engage and, do your thing and everything. We have a big show this week. We'll get to it, what all the details are, but it's been a year officially. We've been over a year. We've been doing this for over a year. That's huge. So we'll give some shout outs here. Rodney, Nate, we're doing all right, buddy. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll do this. We're rolling. We'll go ahead and do the open, and then we'll play it by ear. 3, 2. Alrighty, guys, Jigs and Bigs, another Tuesday. Can you believe that we have been doing intros for this show for 12 months now, officially? And we've made a lot of friends and had a good time doing it. We've grown a lot as anglers, I think personally, just our network in general. Good stuff, everybody. Just want to give let's give a quick breakdown here. We got a lot to talk about this week. We have, as far as events that have happened, we got some MAKB West stuff that's been going on. I got some weird audio stuff going on here, Sean. I'm going to do this again. Yeah, because not only I have that sound.
You sounded like you were warbling.
Spots. Let's do this. Yeah, that's exactly what the issue is. Zoom P4, headphones. All right, we're going to do that. Oh, I think I know what's going on here. I don't know why it's playing out of those monitors. All right. All right, here we go. 3, 2. Alrighty, guys, Jigs and Bigs. It is Tuesday. Once again, we've got another show for you. Can you believe that we have done this? Well, not this exact open, but we've done an intro for this show for the last 12 months. It kind of blows my mind. It's been quite the journey. We're going to talk about a lot about that journey and talk about the differences of how much we've kind of come as creators, content creators, really, and sort of the road that it's been on the way here. But we've got lots more to talk about too. We've got stuff. MAKB, the very first MAKB Western Division tournament happened over the weekend. We've got all the details coming up for you, covering that. We have all kinds of good stuff, plus a little bit of drama. If I'm being perfectly honest here, a little bit of like internet drama. We'll get into that a little bit. All around, just really great stuff for you this week, guys. We have an awesome show. I hope you guys are ready to have some fun. We've been having fun since we hit 10K on Instagram. That's all thanks to every single one of you and your friends, because clearly there's a lot of you. I can't believe it. And we appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started right after this. Don't go too far. All right, guys. How are we doing? Sean, how are you this evening, my friend? You have had an amazing weekend.
Man, well, you and I talked yesterday. I actually had a parody theme song I was going to sing when you said hello to me on this podcast, and it's no longer valid. I can't sing it. I'll wait another day. I'll wait till I get into a funk. So we're doing really well, man. We're doing really, really well. I actually just got off the water.
Yep.
And we got stuff to talk about.
Very nice. Very nice. So we have a little bit of some notes going here. So let's break it down and talk about, well, there's a couple things that we should do. We should probably update a few people over like our weekend happenings, kind of the breakdown, what we've been dealing with over the last handful of days. I've been out on the water a couple of times. We should probably start with Friday. Why don't we start with Friday? I'll start with Friday. And then we'll go from there because we can kind of wrap in one of your, I'll probably say, I say your biggest success of the weekend. We'll be able to roll that right in. So on Friday, I tried really hard to get out and do some fishing, but I had appointments like all over the place. I had to take the kids to the dentist, which was an adventure. Got all that stuff done, and then I had an appointment to go get my first vaccination, my first COVID vaccination. So my appointment was for what I think noon, and like the setup that they have going over there is crazy organized, but so many people, like they're all just, so many people are coming in there, making appointments and scheduling them, and the organization is crazy. So I get in there and it's looking like I'm not going to have any time in the afternoon to get out and fish. And it was really it was bringing me down. It really was. And as you would have it, like things picked up a lot quicker than I thought they would. I was out within about an hour, headed out to a pond that I had been aware of, but had never fished before. And I was just going to do some bank fishing, nothing crazy. Walked up to this one bank and was looking around, and looked like this big sandy flat in front of me with like a couple of like one random stump over here and some reeds that were kind of like just coming back to life off to my right hand side, but I can see bait fish all over, like everywhere. It was ridiculous. So I started throwing a lipless, and I got nothing. Eventually what I ended up doing was just going finesse and throwing a Nico rig, and I caught 4 or 5. It was great, all nibblers, but it was fantastic. Had a whole lot of fun with it, and then that brings us to Friday, and I think this is where Sean kind of jumps in. Did you fish on Friday though too, Sean? Didn't you?
I did. I got out for like 2 hours at a local pond that has been over the years feast or famine for me, and I knocked in 2 nibblers and a nibbler pickerel. So I was a little fried.
Yep. Fair enough.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. But you bounced back because you came into trivia Friday night, and you owned one of those questions, man.
Look, when we're at trivia, you notice like generally I'm quiet. If I get a question right and I've beaten my buddy Tommy, like I'll make a comment at most to him.
Yep.
Because I've known the guy for 30 years and we like needling each other. It's funny.
Oh yeah.
So this weekend at trivia was the only time that I answered a question where I made up an answer and it was right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those. It was one of those. The what type of question was it? Was the
they call it a sequence question, where you have a list of different items, and sometimes that list will just be letters, and you have to create a word out of them by tapping them in order.
Yeah. So in my case, and this question was a historical question. It was something. One of the kings of England, correct?
It was who was a king of England, Denmark, and a third country. I forget. Might have even been Spain.
Yeah. So whatever it was, the letters were ridiculous. And I looked at it and I'm like, I have no idea. And I spelled out I had 2 seconds and I just spelled it out real quickly. Canute. And it was right. And that was the only time I've ever went, yes, and put my arms up in trivia.
Well,
I was nuts.
It was what makes it doubly interesting is that's one of those questions that I like to call a callback, although it was late. So I've actually had that name come up in the last 2 weeks, maybe in another question where it was multiple choice. Like, which of these individuals was the king of these three locations? Like, what name registers as the king of these three countries? And when that name came up, when I think it's pronounced Canute, I could be wrong. I probably am. And so that name comes up, and I was like, okay, so it's possible somebody's going to get this. I see a lot of the same faces game after game after game. So when you did that, I was like, he must have remembered, obviously.
I don't think I was even at that one. I missed a week.
Maybe not. Yeah, that's true. You did miss a week. And actually, it might have been that week that we had done it, but it was crazy. I was like, that's amazing. This man knows his shit. Knows his shit.
And it was an early fast track, so I went to first place on that. I was all pumped.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Making shit up, I rule.
It's a good feeling, man. It is a damn good feeling. Yeah, so that brings us to Friday, and then Saturday hit, and Saturday was kind of crazy because I was playing around with the idea of getting out and doing some fishing early, and that was initially the plan, but I had an issue where my wife and I had ordered some appliances to be delivered. We were told that they were going to be here, I think it was Saturday afternoon, which is going to prevent me from attending the meetup after the MAKB West tournament over at Old Glory Outdoors. So I was kind of bummed about that. And then I found out Friday night that they were going to bump that window to like 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I'm like, oh, this is great. Well, I'm not going fishing in the morning. I'll have to stick around and wait till this is all handled and then whatnot. So I ended up not getting out on the water at all on Saturday, but took a ride out to Old Glory and got some of the scoop on what happened out at Quabog Pond for the very first Western Division MAKB tournament to go down. And it was packed. I mean, it was full. You had one angler that wasn't able to attend, but it was sold out.
Unfortunately, one angler, I'm not going to name him. His wife went into labor really, really early enough to be of concern.
Yeah.
And it turns out mother and baby are just fine. We found out afterwards, which is awesome.
Awesome.
So congrats to Mike Morcone and his wife and their new child. I did not hear if it was a boy or a girl. But
that's awesome though. It's huge.
I had a few other things going on.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Oh, no, believe me, I'm sure, man. I mean, definitely one of the most understandable reasons. You're like, hey, baby's on the way. I'm not going to be able to fish this one. Got some other stuff going on. So, but I mean, for your first run out, man, you filled every slot. Like that's congratulations. Yeah. That's really good. And I know it was something that you were concerned with too. It was like, is the interest there enough to have people come out here? So it was great to finally, see so many people. I think this is the first time I've got to meet Ken in person. Yep. Nate was there. Who else was there? Ray. Nelson, of course, Nelson was there. Ray, Ray and I talk back and forth on Instagram quite a bit. It was nice to finally meet him in person. It was just a whole lot of fun. And I got to gear up for some other Nico rig adventures, which was great. always, I'm really loving that rig. I really am, it's like anytime I can get like a little bit of, what was it? I think it was an episode of Tackle Talk. Andrew Hayes said like getting out there with artificial lures is like when you're a little kid. And Sean, you can understand this. I mean, I know they're collector's items now when they're up on, but like when you have like all these toys and you're playing with your toys, like when you find a new way to be able to use a worm or a hook worm weight combo in a way that's effective, like it's kind of, there's something about that I like,
when you have a tweak that's, unique to your experience and it works, like what I've been doing with Plastic Creatures for the past, 3 years now. Yeah. I don't know anybody else who does it and it's successful. And I honestly, I keep my mouth shut about it. I don't tell people what I'm doing.
Yep.
But
those are those like special little secrets you just want to hang on to. You're like, no, this one's for me.
Yep.
It is what it is. But
I put the work in to figure it out, and I'm not just going to pass that up to somebody so they can whoop my ass with it in a tournament.
Yep.
Easy enough.
I had something come up that I thought about wanting to, thought about the idea of mentioning it on the show, and I wasn't 100% sure. You know, that podcast, I've sent over a couple of episodes for you to check out. The one with Lojo and Ayo, Fishing After Dark.
Yes.
Right. And we've talked about that before. They had an episode, the newest one that had come out, and it was all about LiveScope and its effect on, it was really great. I mean, I would love to get some other experts to weigh in on some of the input there, but they were talking about like LiveScope, and now I guess like there were a couple of YouTube anglers that got just shredded. And I mean, the reality is it's just because this is something you can see, but they had like an amazing day out in this one Texas lake, and they were just presenting something in front of the right fish at the right time, like using the tools that they had. And they had like, I don't know what the size of the bag was, but it was like 50 plus pounds. It was ridiculous. And, they caught some flack because of using Panoptics, and there's this air of like, well, that's an unfair advantage. And it's like, I thought about what you had said. You're like, you can put a nail in with a screwdriver, but God, isn't using a hammer that much easier? Like, they're tools.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I listened to the podcast. You guys go ahead and take a listen to it. I know how some people like the Googans can be very polarizing. But I mean, Lojo, his show is entertaining. It's good. I enjoy it, and then he had what probably my favorite Googan, Lake Fork guy. I think probably the most knowledgeable one on to give some feedback. And he raised a couple of good questions. He goes, anytime he goes, look at side imaging, when you have like side imaging that comes out, anytime you have changes in your technology for being able to graph fish, you're now effectively changing the game. So it's more about being like kind of cognizant about the effect that will have on those fisheries, long term. More than just like, hey, we got this huge bag. Like, what's that going to do to the population of the fish? Is there going to have to be other types of management implemented, in order to be able to work it out? Nobody can make that decision now because it's brand new technology. But I figured it was just one of those things. I was like, it's kind of interesting. We maybe talk about that.
It's definitely, technology is technology. It's always going to advance. Yeah. It's always going to get better. But I mean, it's still in the hands of whoever's using it. Like, yep. I'm pretty sure I don't have Panoptics. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure there's a couple guys that had Panoptics in the tournament, but this week,
and let's be honest, like there's having that technology, and then there's having that technology to have it dialed in to know what it's truly effective with. You know what I mean? Those are two separate things.
And then even seeing the fish doesn't mean that you're going to be throwing the right thing in front of them to bite. There's a lot more. It's just a part of the puzzle. So I get.
Yeah. It was just something I thought was interesting. I was like, like that's kind of crazy. Cause I remember when this whole like buzz kind of popped up and there was this big like bounce back of like, you guys, how dare, like they caught, I forget the name of the organization in Texas that after you catch, I think it's a 13 plus, they basically take it, record it, and then use it for breeding purposes to extend the genetics. And they turned in like a record number on that, like one trip that they were there. I mean, it was amazing. You should definitely see the video. It's just fantastic. It's sort of the day on the water every angler wishes that they just stumbled into, but the odds of that happening, so use your Panoptics.
Yeah. You got to use it. It ain't illegal. What the hell?
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, man. Goodness. So let's jump into our list here. Let's talk about what we have going on. Well, we still have to get through your weekend.
Dude, my weekend started last Tuesday. Okay. This past Tuesday.
Nice life.
Yeah. This was the start of it. So we can't, as we talked about last show, we can't in MAKB pre-fish any later than Wednesday. So you can pre-fish on Wednesday. The minute the clock strikes 12:01 or 12 o'clock on midnight between Wednesday and Thursday, you're done. You can't pre-fish. So I pre-fished on Tuesday. Now, for our listeners that aren't in the area, which apparently we have a lot of them, Quabog Pond is where we had our first tournament out in East Brookfield, Mass. And it's kind of central in the state.
Yep.
The pond has a river in the northeast corner flowing into it, and the northwest corner flowing out of it. All right. And when I went pre-fishing on Tuesday, I only had a couple hours because right before I was out doing something. When I came home, there was a package waiting for me. Big deal here, which I'm going to get into a little bit.
Yep.
I ordered a set of, I found there's very few left apparently on the open market in America. And I found a set of native Sidekick.
He'll be back, folks. Oh, he'll be back in a moment. Oh God. So I should go ahead and jump into kind of what Sean's talking about here. He received a package that was, I forget the brand exactly, but in very high demand. It's a cart for your kayak, which he has been looking forward to. We're gonna actually let him jump back in here once he signs in. Let's go ahead and do some mentions. We got some viewers watching. There's Nelson. How you doing, Nelson? Good seeing you yesterday. Cheryl jumps in and says, congrats. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. Paul jumping in here. Nice job. How you doing, buddy? Oh, and look at this. We've got Lauren from Three Bells. How you doing? Hope you guys are all having a great time. Oh, good stuff. What happened to Sean? If you guys have any questions or anything you want us to answer in the show, go for it. I'm going to hang out and wait until he pops back on and we can jump in, and I'll just cut all this out. It's the beauty of it. I can't believe you guys are all here watching us make this show. Nobody likes to see how the sausage is made. Where'd you go, Sean? Oh, it's gravy. Thanks, man. It's been a whole year. It's been a whole freaking year. Here he is.
What the hell just happened?
I don't know. You just disappeared on me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Alien spaceship. Now my butt hurts. I don't know what's going on.
It was a good nap and a little bit of an experiment. Just pick up where you are and I'll just cut right from there.
Okay. So I received a package Tuesday afternoon when I got home from doing errands or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was my native Sidekick wheels that attach right to the tracks on the Slayer. So I installed those. It took a little while longer than I thought because it doesn't even give you instructions to which anybody from Native listening, your instructions for your Sidekick are not exactly good. It says go on YouTube and watch the video to install. And yeah, I did, but I don't know. I didn't like it too much. So
that's common. A lot of companies I've noticed have started doing that.
Yeah, well, that was the first one I came across. So I installed it, took it out to Quabog, and my plan was to check out the weed growth in the lake first, then start poking around the rivers. And I've always had Goody's here with us. Excellent.
Yeah, he is.
All right. Hi, Matt. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. Hope everything's well.
I haven't talked to him in like 20. It's been a long time.
Fucking work turtle. He's out there. So, so I went up into I checked out the weed growth, went around a little bit of a circle, didn't see much, which kind of tipped me off that maybe the main lake isn't going to be where the fish are going to be caught.
Yeah.
At least the ones that mattered. So I went into the Brookfield River, which is the one that flows in on the northeast side. And it was warmer. It was 3 degrees warmer than the lake. And I said, that is just bizarre because every time I've gone there during the summer, that lake is always significantly colder, like 5 degrees colder. So I said, what the hell is going on here? And I saw some signs of life. It was about low 50s in that river. There was some fish moving around, bluegills or whatever in the shallows. Yep. So I said, okay, I didn't get any bites though. Like I said, that's where I have my my normal amount of luck. But what I noticed was not only was that river down and the pond was down like 3 feet. Like we're going into the spring in drought conditions, which is bizarre. So I came back out and I said, you know what? I better check the other river. And I pedaled all the way across with the wind and got there, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes before dark, started casting, got nothing. And I turned around and pedaled all the way back. And I said, that's not good because that was the same temperature as the pond. So now I have the warmer northern river and the other river and the pond were under 50 degrees. So I said, what the hell am I going to do? And I said, well, I got to go with the warmer river. The fish are going to be where it's warmer. So fast forward to Saturday morning. We have our crew assembled. Nelson and I give our little captain's meeting briefing, introduce Ken, thank everybody for coming. And really, I mean that was flattering. And I'm absolutely humbled that everybody made it out to do that. That was an excellent way to kick everything off. And I hope those of you guys that were new to tournament fishing keep something in mind. I have to keep this in mind every time I get into the water with Ken Wood and Joe DeDeo and Nate Shagnon and John Ferreira and Nelson. There's no guarantees. No matter how good of a fisherman you are, you're up against some of the best.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with losing 20 if I place in one. So that's what I always mentally keeps me going in that, so I don't get down. The day started off all right. It was calm. Water was glass. It was a little chilly, but that was all right. And when we got in the water, the way MAKB tournaments work is you get in the water 15 minutes before the start of the tournament. You're free to pedal or paddle or power your way to wherever you're going. You got a 15-minute early launch. You cannot wet a line until 7.
Gotcha.
So there was a few people with powered kayaks, and almost everybody had pedal, and there were a few paddlers, which towards the end of the day, I actually feel bad about. I'll get into in a minute. But immediately when I said 6:45, go, 8 kayaks turned left towards that North River. And I said, well, I'm not going that way now because that river's tight. It doesn't have a lot of room. I actually had to brief beforehand, mind your etiquette if you're in that river because it's so narrow.
Yeah.
You've really got to watch the spacing and be polite to, your fellow fishermen and say, hey, do you mind if I pass? Whatever you got to do. So when I saw that many people take off, I said, all right, I'm going to try the other one because I don't think the pond's going to do anything. The only other time in my life that I've ever fished that river was last year. Nelson and I went there in the summer and we had such a miserable day that I swore off that river. I said, fuck that place. I'm never going back. Well, Saturday morning rolled around and I had no choice. So who's powering next to me but Ken? I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to share the river with this guy. This is going to be fucking rough.
Yep.
And I think after talking with Nelson, I think he had originally planned to go that way too. And because his pre-fishing told him to go that way, I was like, I don't know, man. I didn't see it with the temperatures, but to each their own.
Yeah.
So we got about halfway across the lake and Ken turns to me and goes, oh shit. I go, what's the matter? He goes, I left my catch board in my truck.
Oh no.
So he went nice U-turn, took back off. I'm like, holy shit. So I ended up getting in there first. And then here's where being in so many tournaments at once can actually be a blessing at times when you get one fish and it counts for all of them, but it can be a curse because I got there with the water like glass. I'm going to let everybody into the mind of Sean the Fisherman. And this is going to be a recurring theme throughout today because it happened again today. When I see water like glass, I love using floating Rapalas when it's shallow. I love it. It's really some weird combination of finesse fishing, top water fishing, and sight fishing all in one. I get such a rush when it's shallow and there's even a moderate sized fish that makes that fucking V wake right at your floating Rapala when you're just twitching it. It's so awesome. And so I got around this one corner and I saw some vegetation growing up and I said, well, I'll start fooling around with a Rapala there, see if I can get something. And within 2 casts, I got a bass and it was 8 inches and I was all proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I threw it overboard.
Yep.
And then 2 minutes later, I caught a 9-inch bass and I was all proud of myself. And I threw that one overboard without measuring either of them because I completely forgot it was an 8-inch minimum.
Yep.
Because all I was thinking was 12-inch, 12-inch, 12-inch.
Oh, no. Wrong sound effect.
Yeah. And about a second later, after I threw that one over, Nelson had just texted me saying, hey, I'm on the board. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I see he has a 10.75. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, 10.75. Why does he have a 10.75? How did that count? And I realized, oh shit, we have an 8-inch minimum. So there's your director getting the season off on the right foot right there.
Directing as it would be. Yeah.
Yes. So, dude, if you can't laugh at yourself, who the fuck can you laugh
Absolutely.
at? Right?
No. You're 100% right.
So the third fish, this is a good one. Now, everyone knows that the price of fucking all jerkbaits and floating Rapalas has significantly risen since the 90s. Well, there was a massive swirl under my bait and it disappeared. And I was set the hook and I felt pressure and then I felt nothing. And when I got the line back, it was clean through like with a knife. And I said, pickerel or a pike. And as I'm sitting there, I see this little ring and something break the surface. My Rapala had escaped and it came floating back up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I found it. It severed the line about an inch in front of the knot.
Oh, that's perfect.
So there's a whatever $13 Rapala that came back to me, or $10 Rapala. So I continued on my way and started actually measuring and photographing. Can you believe that? Any bass that I caught from that point on. I did fill a limit and I got to the area where Nelson and I fished last year. And I was very particular about it and really took my time in there because there was some depth to that part of the river. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that with the low water, fish were congregating there, and they were. So I nabbed a 17-incher on a bass jig, which was nice.
Nice.
I had that survived the day. I had a 13-incher from the Rapala. I caught a bunch of fish on that Rapala. I mean, just a lot. But then the wind kicked up and I went subsurface. When the wind kicks up, I just don't think it's as effective. Mm-hmm. And honestly, dude, we should do everything we can to. You and I discussed this. We were just kind of laughing about it, but like, let's get serious. Let's reach out. Mike Iaconelli, if you'd like to come on and talk nothing but floating Rapalas with me, that might be a dream come true. That might be awesome. Because Mike, he's the only pro I know that really advocates those things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
By any Northeast, so shallow waters, shallow rivers, floating Rapalas.
It does make sense,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I grew up on. That's the first lure I learned, and I still use them to this day. I mean, it's been what, 32 years of using these things. So, so I had a 17 on the board. And when I looked at the standings, I wasn't standing watching, but I'd check every 2 hours or so. There were fish being caught, but they were all small, like really small. And I'm like, wow, that's 17-incher. That might hang on for something. That's a big fish so far. Of course, Ken was in the lead for most of the day because the dude just catches fish. I mean, there's a reason he goes to pro tournaments and can make waves. He reads the water well, and he's a really good fisherman.
Yep.
And I was hanging around in second because of that 17-incher. And then after that, I had like a 13 and then a bunch of like 12s and 10s. It was just shitty.
Yeah.
So I went to the second bend on that stretch and I caught an 18 on the bass jig, an 18 and a half. And I'm like, all right, now I'm cooking. Now I'm right behind Ken because he was just solid. He had like 16s and 15s and I think 114. He was killing it.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, all right, now I got a shot here, right? Actually, let me look at Ken. So I got the things up. Yeah, he's just solid. Elliot was 14s, 15s, and 16s. Like there weren't those little fish everyone else seemed to be piling up. Yep. He had already kind of separated the wheat from the chaff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so I had a 17 and 18 and then a bunch of little ones, and they still weren't enough to catch him. So I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? And then the wind really picked up.
Yeah.
And I had fished those two bends I was talking about, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go back because there was another bend that had some similar drop and structure to where I was catching fish. Maybe there's something lying around in there. And there wasn't, except for a pickerel, but that was a chronic trips fish. I'd also like to take a moment right now.
Yeah.
And when I was winging around that floating Rapala, all willy-nilly, I had a very good moment. I had a moment. I had a good moment.
Okay.
I had a 7-inch bluegill grab that bad Larry. And that made my morning.
On the floating Rapala.
7-inch floating Rapala, 7-inch bluegill. They do that.
A bluegill was hungry. Damn.
Dude, the point is I checked off a box on the chronic trips.
Yeah, you did.
We'll come back to that later because there was some action there. But so I got the 17, I got the 18, I got the 13, and then I had 2 crapfish.
Yep.
And I went to that other area. I got nothing. And then there was 2 hours or 2.5 hours left. I said, all right, with the wind coming up and the sun came out, I'm like, I'm going to do what I'm doing with the jig, and I'm going to downsize for a plastic creature, Ned rigged. And I didn't get anything big off the first bend. And when I came to that second bend, my rod doubled over and I got a 19.5.
There you go.
Yeah, that was huge. I got that in. I was all pumped at that point because that was the biggest fish of the tournament to that point. Actually, I didn't know that. I thought my 18 was like 18.75, I believe. I thought that fish was the biggest to that point.
Yep.
Come to find out down the road, it was not, because the standings.
Didn't Nelson hook into?
Yeah.
Like a 19?
Yes, but I didn't see it before the standings went off. So the standings go off at 1, and that adds an air of mystery. You don't know what's happened in the last 2 hours.
Gotcha.
If you're even in the hunt, it keeps you involved. Okay.
Yeah.
One thing I should have actually announced before the tournament was, and I got more clarity on how the process goes. Now that I'm a director, I have to know these things.
Yep.
I thought it was only going to be 3 spots paying out. It was 5. So,
oh, that's great.
And so let's, if Ken was obviously kind of running away with it and I was right there with him, and then there was kind of a break, but there was so many people in that tier that 1 or 2 more fish would have put him in the top 5.
Yeah.
And if you know that, it keeps you going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one more fish, you just got to keep rolling.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely keeps people. It's like when I do that at trivia and I'm like, well, if this team can get this last question, it's going to, bump them up to this position. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a little bit of motivation. So, so with 2 hours left, I hit that fish at 1 o'clock even. And, so I had a 19, 18, 17, 15, or a 19, 18, 17, 13 and a shit fish. And I'm like, I got to get rid of this like 12 inch or 10 inch or whatever it is, because I've seen a million tournaments where Ken catches people in he finally gets a read on something in the last hour or two, and it's curtains.
Pulls it all together, and then it's game over.
And the whole time after I caught that 19, that's all I could think of was Ken is a closer. He is. He's a closer.
Yeah.
You can't leave him any wiggle room, or he just, you can't sit back on your heels. You got to keep fishing hard.
Yep.
So I did go back to that first bend, and I got a 15.5. So my final 5 fish were the 13 that hung around all day on the Rapala, the 15 on the Ned rig, 17 and an 18, 17 even, 18 3/4 on the bass jig, and then 19.5 on the Ned rig.
Nice.
I ended up with 84 inches. Luckily, Ken didn't upgrade anymore, so he finished second. I didn't do a little write-up yet. I'm planning on doing that actually when we're done recording, because I've been on the water for basically 3 days, 2 days straight. So
yeah.
And that's the other thing. I'm also in the middle of my monthly, where you pick a week in the month and fish. So like, I'm just out there fishing, man. I'm grinding this week. I got permission from the wife to go balls out, and it's just been, my arm hurts.
Dangle casting.
Yeah. It's been crazy. So top 5 for this tournament, real quick, if you don't mind me covering that. I mean, again, I'll cover it in other forms of media.
No, but this is what we want. And I should say, actually, before we get to those results, coming soon in the show, we've reached out to Slay Nation, and Frank is going to be reaching out to all of his tour directors. We're going to have regular weekly tour updates for the regional trails that surround the area. And that's not just kayak fishing either. We've got some big boat clubs. We've got, basically all kinds of organizations that clubs that have results that for us to share. We want them to kind of utilize us as a platform. So we'll have more of that. So think of this as like just a preview with this weekend's last tournament. So take it away.
Yeah. And I've already been covering the Chronic Trips for a year.
Oh yeah.
We talk about that all the time. And now that, with the Western Division up for MAKB, I'll be talking about that anytime we have a tournament, plus any oddball stuff you and I get involved in with EKF. Three Bells is having their tournament. And it's going to be, I think you and I are kind of focused on more, aside from the Slay Nation stuff and anybody else who wants to talk with us. As far as my end, I'm really going to focus on stuff that I'm involved in.
Oh, of course.
Just because I'm going to have that point of view. I did get asked, you and I talked this morning, to appear on John Ferreira's podcast, The Breakdown, because he's going to be covering all things MAKB and EKF regionally apart from us. So you guys all feel free to check him out if you want. So I'll be popping in on that to talk about this tournament. But the final 5 were Sean Dwyer knocked in 65 3/4. Nelson hit the money 68 1/4. And the funny part about that is, after the standings went off and I had decided to call it quits at about 2:30 to get back in time, because again, as a director, I wanted to be making sure people were on the water, off the water, etc. But I ran into Nelson, and wouldn't you know it, he was throwing a lizard. That's a strange thing for Nelson to be throwing.
That's bizarre.
I know.
Yeah.
And I said, how you making out? He goes, good. I got on some fish a little late. I said, great. I upgraded my lunker from that 18 and 7.5, and he snapped his head around. He goes, to what? And I go, now I'm confused. I'm like 19 and a half. Why? Dude, he slapped his lizard and the tip of his rod down on the water. He goes, God damn it. I go, what? He goes, I had a 19 and a quarter.
That's awesome.
And Nate was actually pedaling in with us, and I started laughing at Nelson, and I said, you've been dude butted. Because that's what the dude bud did to me for most of a decade. Just you catch one fish, the dude bud's got one just a little bit bigger, just to turn that screw.
It's all it needs to be. Yeah.
Yep. So Nelson did finish strong with that 19 and a quarter, and finished fourth. Nick Ringard dropped in 71 and a quarter. Nice job, Nick. Very solid bag. Again, just like Ken's, just didn't have that second. Let me see. I don't think he had that second 16 incher. Now he had a 17. So nice job, Nick. Ken finished second with 77 and a quarter. And I'm lucky I got that 19. I really, really am.
Oh, yeah.
And I finished with 84 even. So that on a day like Saturday was, where the morning was promising, and then when the wind kicked up and the sun came out, this is why I was going to say earlier about the paddlers. I do not blame any member of MAKB that left early that was paddling.
Oh, yeah.
Because Quabog is a big place, and that wind got real brutal real quick. So here's where I want to veer off a little bit into gear.
Yeah.
And this is in general. Okay. Obviously, Three Bells was 100% awesome handling me with the kayak that I needed to get a hold of.
Yep.
I was also very specific about the model I wanted and what options I needed as a big guy needing the pedal. Because I understand that in these tournaments, when you come to a bigger body of water, you're not the only one looking at maps. You're not the only one calling the local tackle store. You're not the only one looking at Google Earth. People are going to want to go fish the same places.
Yep.
Power's going to get there first. Pedal's going to get there second. Paddle is going to be left behind. And God forbid you have a canoe, because you're way off. Now, there are some ways to mitigate that. If you do your homework and find places that are very close to the launch, stick with someplace close. But what I really came to that understanding, this boat being in that Slayer with the Slayer Max Propel, with the pedal drive that I got from Three Bells, that did it. It would have taken me hours to get across that lake, or not an hour, but it would have taken me more than the 15 minutes or 10 minutes that it did with a pedal going almost 4 miles an hour.
You almost, if you are paddling, you're almost inviting yourself to where you have to put more in as far as preparation to get, and start at one point and work out. Like, I found this that works and it's easiest for me to get to. I'm going to start here so I can conserve my energy and, not waste all this time paddling all the way out to this one spot, and wasting all this time here. So it's, not to say that it can't be done. I mean, it can be done, but
no, it's just, it speed wise, it really does. Speed wise, it is a disadvantage. And I really, I placed in plenty of tournaments without ever having a pedal kayak. I did fine. But there are times where
you have to take into account that, that I won't be the fastest boat to these spots that I might want to fish. So maybe I need to change my plan of attack to compensate for that.
And time comes into play too, because now if you're not as fast and you have literally a 45 or 30-minute paddle, that's gone from your day. You're spotting everyone else that time. So, like I said, having a paddle kayak will make you a better fisherman, because you're going to have to be more efficient with your time. Having a pedal kayak gives you more options. So I can't tell everyone go buy a pedal kayak at Three Bells, obviously Three Bells, but I can't tell everybody get a pedal kayak. Not everyone can afford it. Yeah, well, you can, but you know what I'm saying? It's just I'd say it helped. I mean, I like human power, so I don't think I ever want to take that next step to power. I like going out there and being able to burn calories and try not to be a giant fat ass, as everyone who was watching earlier. For all our patrons, got to watch me eat the end of my Chipotle on the way home because I was on the water today. But yeah, the only other things for that tournament, man, that 19.5, that was my lunker, and that was a lunker for the tournament, and the lunker pickerel / pike, because there were a couple pike caught. Ray Figueroa caught a pickerel.
Yeah,
that was 23 1/4. So good for Ray.
It's a big fish. Nice job, Ray.
Nice job, Ray. Yeah. So I hope everyone had a good time. I know the weather did not cooperate. A lot of people left with some sunburnt legs. That was pretty rough to see. Nate and Nelson in particular, both of them were red. Yeah. Nate was real bad. But yeah, I thought it was great. We had a great turnout. And then we went to Old Glory afterwards and had pizza and sodas and beer and chips and bullshitted about the day. It was fun. It was a wonderful way to not only kick off the season, but to kick off the division. And really, thank you to Joe. Thank you to Meg of Old Glory. Thank you to Ken for letting us open up the West, and thank him for being here. Thanks to John and Nate and Sean for all traveling out here, and Joe. And welcome all the Western folks that started off their tournaments with us. This was awesome. Yeah,
this was huge, man. This is like the coolest thing, that like this is actually happening. We had a conversation like 10 months ago, how it would be so cool to have this happening in the western part of the state, not having to go, and like, here we are, we're doing it. So, and that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. So it's been a year. It's been an amazing year. It's been a year of, I went back and I listened a few weeks ago. I listened to the very first episode of this show and I made a decision. I went back and I should say I re-listened to the very first episode of this show. And I think what I'm going to do is do like a sort of a year later, like a separate segment where I'll just kind of reflect on like the things that I've learned, the records that I've kept, the adjustments I've made, things like that to kind of, figure out what's gone on in this year. There's some things that are very obvious, the connection, and you guys will hear, I recently recorded with Andrew, Ken, and Wild Bill from Hookset Hoodlums. Just the four of us going back and forth talking fishing and stuff, and we often kept going back to the same thing, how this community is amazing, and that's really at the core of it all. That's what we're really kind of all about. And that, like, you look at the way that network has grown from, Three Bells coming into the fold, and how all the like the stars kind of aligned, like we had Ken on, and then we had Jason on, and we kind of assumed, we're like, oh, well, maybe they mentioned something in Three Bells and that's how they found us. And it was just like fate kind of brought everything together. So very, very cool. This is really, really fantastic. We've been covering Chronic Trips for a year, essentially it'll be in June. It'll be a whole year that we've been covering the Chronic Trips tournaments, and that tournament has been flipped on its freaking head. And there is one person that my hat is off to for that, Mr. Loaded Potato.
Yep.
Andy Quinn. Excellent job, my friend. It was a matter of time before this happened, but like now this is truly a multi-species tournament. Like, it has to be won that way.
Yeah, he just checked every box, dude. It was amazing. Last week was amazing. So he came out of nowhere and just ran to first place and just kicked ass. I'm just bringing up the the standings right now, and I did not update them today. There were a few entries. Hell, even I put in one. But what happened last week? Teddy was winning, right? And looked like he had things pretty well in hand. Teddy's in third now.
Teddy Forge's in the third. Now, this is like, I feel like Teddy single-handedly kept my head in the Chronic Trips game for this. Single-handedly. Like, I can remember after doing that first tournament, and I was just like, man, that was a whole lot. I don't know. Like, should we do this? Are people really into it? And then Seth shared this one email from young Teddy Forget. That was amazing. After reading that, I was like, of course we're going to keep, talking about this. Of course we're going to keep covering this tournament. You can't not.
Yeah.
Oh no. Gravy jumps in here. Eric Graves says he forgot to enter any of his fish from this weekend. Eric, I've been there, man. Not even forgot. Like I left the catch board in the truck literally one day and then used fishing line just for my own like record keeping in my head. I caught a 15-inch smallie and I was just like, this is great. It just like melted, you know? Like, this is no good. I can't enter in the tournament. So yeah, I wish I would have kept that piece of line. Made a nice little plaque. Put it back up here for that 15.
Yep. So yeah, so Andy just turned it on its head, man.
Yeah.
I am blown away again. I don't have today in there, but he's got 16 points where Teddy had 17 last week. And that's the beauty of this point system is you go ahead and you top somebody. Not only are you getting points for yourself, but you're taking points from somebody else. It's just brutal. So, Andy's done a hell of a job. Mark has just been plugging away with trout and then any other species that'll, that he can yank out of his favorite fishing spot. So Mark's in second. He's got 14. Teddy, get back on the water, bro. You got competition now. Teddy's got 12. He's in third. I am in fourth with 9. And then Nelson's in fifth with 6. He is tied with Jerry Howes, who Jerry I hadn't seen in a couple years.
Yeah.
Jerry was at the tournament too, and he came out afterwards. So glory. Nice to see Jerry again.
Jerry. That was awesome.
Yep. After Jerry, we got Nate Shagnon and Mr. Dodson and Brock Jenkins. And my personal favorite name of the tournament, I don't want everyone to do this, but this just happened. Whoever the hell Sticky Fred is, you're my favorite. You're my dark horse, boy. I don't know what your deal is, but you're awesome for naming yourself that. Those all 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So Shagnon, Dodson, Jenkins, and
Sticky Fred.
The stickiest Fred I know, all have 5 points. Laura Huard and Mitch Skase, lip gripper, they both have 4 points. Tim Jacks with 2. Austin Carlson, George Costa, and Todd Tremblay all have 1. As of this last night, it wasn't even last night. As of Friday night, I have not updated since Friday night. Now, this is a great little segue here because George Costa is only showing 1 point. All right, George has been the shining example in this tournament of learning. This is his first tournament. He's learning ups. He's learning downs. He's actually learned a few more downs, which has sucked. I had to DQ one of his fish. It was, what the hell was it? It was, he had a monster pickerel and he caught it at night.
That's right.
And dude, every picture he took, unfortunately, had the lip gripper. You could not see the fish making contact with the bump. And I had to explain, I'm like, dude, you can't see how long this fish is. I can't judge it because I said, you probably do have it up against the lip. I'm not arguing with that. I can't see it. I need to verify that. And he was completely understanding about it. And his whole take on it was, no problem. I'll get another one. All right, dude.
That's
great.
The best.
So in contrast, and really to put a bow on what happened last week with the entrant that exited not so gracefully, shall we say. I'm going to be PC and polite about this. When I had called up because he had mentioned a couple things about past tournaments that he had been in that were run through Fish Donkey. And I guess this gentleman had a misunderstanding as to who was actually running said tournaments. Not Fish Donkey, and certainly not me. I do not run every tournament on Fish Donkey. Fish Donkey doesn't run any of the tournaments. They're just an app. So I called up Fish Donkey to get a little history to make sure, see what kind of judgments were going on in this previous tournament so I could see where this guy was coming from. And no, he was not lying. He was being judged that way in a very, very loosely run tournament through his college alma mater. And I was like, well, that sucks because this was obviously not a fishing organization. It wasn't an outdoors organization. This was somebody who's
there's some guys having some fun or something like that.
They came across the app and they're using it. But when you have that perspective and then you jump into something like we're doing, even though again I say it's the beginner level, there's still rules and standards. And on my part, the only reason I even got anywhere near upset with this was I sent him an example of how I wanted them, and that didn't happen. And then things spiraled out of control from there. But We're good. He's out.
And that had nothing to do with you. That was all him.
No.
You know, just it is what it is. But you provided an ideal example, and I had gone even and made a post to get some feedback, and unanimous. Everybody was just like, There's no way you could accept those pictures. There's just no way. You cannot see the head of the fish.
And that was from you couldn't see anything, but that was from all levels of competitive fishermen, some not even competitive.
Yeah.
To really wrap this up, Bonnie had said something, and I called you immediately when I got off the phone with her because it was such a soundbite.
Yeah.
She had said, I said, look, I'm going to mention you on the podcast. I want to use your exact words. And now I'm an old hippie, and it's been a week, so I forgot exactly what the words were. But the gist of it was, she said, tournaments like that are what give online tournaments a bad name.
Yep.
And I said, I understand completely because, you know, she even said, she's like, online tournament is as good as a director who runs it. Obviously they were doing it for shits and grins and not a big deal. And, you know, we are doing it for fun, but as an entry level to serious tournaments, and we're all having fun with it. You know, there's a huge element of fun. I mean, this is a blast, dude. I number one, I cannot remember seeing, did we ever have this many contestants in the year past?
25. We're at what, 25?
Yeah, I mean, there's
something
people
like
are pumping. Yeah, we're at hold on, I'll tell you the exact number. No, we're at 28 entries.
28.
Now, not everybody's turned fish in. 28 out of the 28 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people. Is that 13? Yeah.
Yep.
No, so a dozen people have not turned in fish. So 16 people have been pumping fish in, like to the point where I've been like, I can't just jump on there every now and again. Like I have to do it like daily or every other day. Now this weekend was a little rough, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this has been crazy. The amount of big fish coming in. Like I thought that big pickerel I caught was worth a shit. It is not.
Nope.
No. Somebody cracked 20 with a bass already. I mean, It's been intense. It's been intense. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Stand by, everybody. Is he going to disappear again, or is he going to go? He's going to be back. He's going to be back. It has been a lot of fun, though. This whole endeavor with Chronic Trips has just been an absolute blast. Where did you go, Sean? We got to get you some internet, man. I do think, Nick, that was hilarious. I want to use her words, quote unquote, proceeds to not use her words.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, whatever. It's been a long weekend. I want a tournament. I don't give a fuck.
I hear you.
But,
you feeling good.
I try. I want to use her words. Doesn't mean I'm going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was just saying before I went into the void, just like George Costa has been the best example of this tournament. He knows it's a learning experience. He knows he's going to make mistakes, and he's just embracing each one and trying to get better every fish. And George, it's been a pleasure to deal with you honestly in every issue you've had. And it's been, I really felt bad about DQing that pickerel. Like I felt awful.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the rules are the rules, and you know,
I feel like if you're running, if you're running a tournament and you're, following the rules that you set, and you're not running anything crazy or loose, you're always going to have people like George who are, responsive to your feedback of like, hey, this is what we're looking for, or this is what we need, and they're going to go and do that. So, and trust me, that type of response to any type of constructive criticism or anything is hugely appreciated, instead of like, getting a bunch of BS about like, oh, this is horseshit, man. Just take my word for it. It doesn't work.
I do this all the time. Yeah, I don't give a shit. You don't do it here.
Yeah.
All right. So that's laid to rest. Now let's continue on the down part of the podcast with what happened with you and social media.
So I have, it's no big secret. I try to engage our audience on Instagram quite regularly with memes and things that I find entertaining that are generally related to or relatable to fishing. And I had shared a reel recently that I had seen because, I'm old and don't understand how reels work. B_squared Bassin. Had put out this reel where it basically was riffing on bed fishing, and throwing that jig on beds to catch just absolute behemoth females. And I got a comment from somebody in there, and their comment was, I don't know. So then I responded just with some LOL emojis like I do. And he says his follow-up to that was, I mean, yeah, if you catch a big bass on a bed, you caught a big fish, but not really anything to brag about because you can literally see the fish and you don't really grind like you would just regularly bass fishing. And my follow-up was, again, 3 LOL emojis. And then I said, doesn't mean it makes sight fishing any less fun. 100. Then I responded on top of that. I was like, if fishing is about proving something, then you should enter a tournament to do that. Otherwise, just enjoy fishing. It's not about, let's just be honest here. Facts are facts. There are certain parts of the calendar year where your likelihood of catching the biggest bass of your life is more likely than others. And that those points are pretty clear across the board. I mean, springtime is a major one. And if you're responsibly bed fishing, I know there are some people who think that bed fishing is an ethical issue, that it's, and I mean, let's be honest. I think anytime anybody is sight fishing and they catch a fish on a bed, they try to return it near to that area as soon as possible, because last thing you want to do is interrupt the spawn of potential other bass with great genetics. You know what I mean? Like, that's the last thing any of us want to do. But at the same time, I've heard the argument recently that, beds aren't just up shallow where you can see them. Yeah, you'll find there are beds out deep. So the argument has been made out there that even if you don't think that you're bed fishing and you're just, fishing in your regular spots near this ledge or this drop off or this brush pile or something like that, there could be a bed right there and you could be bed fishing without even knowing it, completely unaware, just because it's not right there in front of you. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm like, when I hear somebody like that who's just like, yeah, but I'm going to somehow try to make your big fish less valid because, I caught it, you use this or you use Panoptics. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Do I have to stab myself in an eye so I can say I was half blind in order to make you happy? I mean, come on.
This is 2 weeks in a row now where you and I have had to vent over people with communicating over media, right? Yeah. My suggestion is, we just go ahead and make this a segment. We'll make a nice bumper for it. Be like, and now this week's segment of Fuck This Guy.
I'm not against that. I'm not against, and I actually think that the listeners kind of like this stuff because it puts us a little bit off our polished seat, that little spot where we're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And we get a little bit more fired up about these things. So, it's like people are entitled to their opinions, and I get that. That's fine. The other thing I do want to throw out there is I want to thank this Instagram user for the engagement they gave my post because it's blowing up. Thank you. So, it's part of the reason why I left the smiling emojis intentionally was to get a little bit more engagement. So I'm not an idiot here. I do know what's going on. But yeah, just crazy, man. Crazy. I love bed fishing. I love it. Like, it's one of the few times ever in nature someone of my lack of flexibility and stealth can stealthily sneak up to a bass that's up shallow that I can see. And, this is the thing. A lot of people think that bed fishing is easy. I have sunk 20, 25 minutes into a bass trying to get them to bite. or trying to get them to go after my bait, because they're not feeding at that point. They will pick up your jig and move it off the bed, and that's it. It's hard to get them to hook up. So if anything, I would say that bed fishing is really an exercise in persistence.
Yeah. I've only been successful bed fishing once.
Yeah.
In my life. I never see beds. I'm always fishing such stained water. I never see it. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It's not part of my game.
Yep.
The only time I ever did that or had success was I was fishing ponds on a state park in Plymouth, and the water was so clear. I saw the beds, and we just happened to be there at the right time. And that wasn't even a trip out there. It was on the way home from the Cape. And I said, let's stop here and look at the place. And we just went out there real quick.
Yep.
And we saw them on their beds, and it was of varying depths. I mean, there were some that were as shallow as 2 feet. Yep. Others were down to like 8-9 feet. You could barely see it, even though the water was relatively clear. But you think those are the ones where the big females are going to go to first. It's close, easy access to deep water. They're in, they're out.
Oh yeah.
Those big fish don't like to be seen, so
yeah, they don't want to put themselves at risk.
Yep. Even the ones that were feeding heavily for a pre-spawn in Saturday at Quabog, they were in the deepest water possible. They seemed to only flash in, grab a meal, and come back out to deep water by my guess. I mean, I don't know. They weren't anywhere. They weren't in that shallow water where all the 7-inch bluegills and 10-inch bass were. So
yeah. Sean, I just thought of something that we may want to bring up and discuss on the show. You had brought up birds recently and your experience with birds out on the water, specifically birds of prey. Why don't you go ahead and jump into that? Well, if anybody wants to comment and jump in here, I'm glad to include those on the screen, and we're glad to go over that. But yeah, something I just remembered, we had that brief conversation about that earlier this week.
Well, it started about 15 years ago at the dawn of my sobriety and taking fishing seriously. And there's a certain lake out on the Cape that I'll still go to once or twice a year. The bass in there, they do get big. It's a herring-fed lake. But if you have a good day on the water, and I mean a good numbers day where you're getting a lot of little fish,
yep,
it is inevitable that you are going to catch multiple fish with punctures in their back
from talons,
from osprey talons.
Mm-hmm.
Those ospreys don't give a shit. They would go after anything that moves in the water. Now,
they're the honey badgers of the sky.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're the best fishermen in the air. I actually, little known fact, my large back tattoo is of an osprey.
Yep.
Yes, I have a gigantic osprey tattooed on my back. That's how friendly I am with the ospreys. It's real good times when they drop out of the fucking sky at 70 miles an hour and hit the water about 10 feet from you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll shit yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why you got to fish where there's birch nearby.
You got to make sure you got to do your research on Google Maps first to make sure there's a good clump of birch trees just in case there's osprey nearby. But when you have water like that, now the weeds. Tips from Sean the Fisherman on bird watching. So when you have ospreys and back in the 90s when I started fishing, we didn't have birds of prey like we do now. There were no hawks or falcons or anything. It was sad because they were still dealing with the effects of the DDT that was still legal. When did that get banned? In the 80s or early 90s?
I think it was the late 80s. I think it was like late 80s. But
so it took them years to bounce back. Like when I was growing up, I never saw a blue heron in the Chicopee River. Never. And by late 90s, blue herons, the occasional osprey, the bald eagles were back.
Yep.
Hawks and falcons became commonplace. I mean, they're really common now. And now, I mean, that's 30 years. So, my theory with fishing and the ospreys is if you have a clear lake, if you have even like Quabog was moderately stained, but if you were in 3 feet of water, you could see the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I can see the bottom, I don't have an osprey's eyesight. They can see the bottom.
The ospreys can, yeah.
So that's why I went looking for deeper water. One of my passes over the deepest point of Quabog brought me to 5 feet. And I'm like, that's not even enough. I think the fish know, the big fish know to stay away from shallow water when there's ospreys around or during the spring or when there's no cover.
You got to find those deepest spots possible.
Or places with access to cover and deep spots. And the places that I found had both. And I think that, it's obvious. In my opinion, it made the difference. So
definitely. Nelson's jumping in here. He says he got the shit scared out of him yesterday when he went to shore to relieve himself. Oh, a turkey took off from across the water about 10 feet. Almost had to use a birch tree. That's awesome. Turkeys are a mess, man.
And of all of us, Nelson has had the on-the-job training.
It's true.
Of how to use a birch tree. But yeah, so that's something I always consider because like Nelson and I were talking about it, and you and I were too last week. I said, I've never seen so many ospreys this far inland.
Yeah.
I mean, there was at least 2 pairs of them, if not 3 over Quabog and South Pond and all the associated ponds. Mm-hmm. Occasionally I see them at my house, but I've got the Connecticut River. So that's kind of
makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. But the herring aren't running yet. So yeah, it's the ospreys have rebounded incredibly from that DDT ban. And obviously so have the bald eagles. We have tons of bald eagles around here too.
Yep.
But I did see him at Quabog, and that was one of the decisions I made. I'm like, there's not enough weeds here for these fish to be comfortable. I've got to check the rivers. And then my second decision was made for me, at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning when a lot of people went to one little river. And I said, well, I got to go to the other one now.
Yep.
So whatever. There is one thing I do want to wrap up my weekend with.
What's that?
So as everybody who's been watching has been watching me hit mute and chew on stuff as you've been talking, I actually just got off the water before we started recording, grabbed some Chipotle and headed home. And I haven't been on my home river, the Chicopee River, in, I don't know, 3-4 years. And I really space out my trips now. So in the past 10 to 15 years, I've maybe been on it, I don't know, 4 times, maybe 5. Mm-hmm. The public access is gone. It's really difficult to get in there. And I used the one public access today and got in there and just took the pedal kayak out for a ride. That river's down a lot too. So it was a lot. I mean, today was just a huge trip down memory lane for me. I was just, reeling in the years, man. I was just going through stuff. I'm like, yeah, I remember when me and the dude Bud did this here, or me and so-and-so caught this fish here. And it was exciting. And then to see all the changes, like, wow, there's a new tree that dropped here and another one got washed away at some point in the past. So like, it was neat. And I did manage to find fish. I actually had a hell of a day. I caught 2 pickerel, half a dozen crappie, and well, that's 8, and then a dozen bass. So nothing was big, but they were biting, and they were biting floating rapalas in a couple little areas, little shallow, warm areas. And today was the day I mentioned it last week. I found 1 degree of difference in 3 places, and all 3 places where I caught fish. Nowhere else turned up fish, just at 1 degree. Everywhere I found, it was warm, but everywhere I found at everywhere was either 57 or 58. Where I found 58, that's where I caught fish.
That's where you got bites? Yep. No kidding.
Yep. But I had called you, to say, hey, I'm on my way home, and I'm like, you're going to love this, and I'm going to utter this statement for all the world to hear, because you don't hear this statement ever. I had a banner day for topwater crappie. Digest that. I caught half a dozen crappie on topwater lures. And the best part was number 7 jumped out of the water completely motionless like this, like a U shape, and just splashed back into the water, completely missing by about, 3 inches, 4 inches, just completely missed the lure. And I swear to God, I heard him on the way down go, derp. Nice. He said that. He said it. I heard it.
It's funny because, Paul had messaged me, I think about like an hour or so before you had called me, and it had mentioned this, and he was out. I forget where he said he went. He went out with one of his daughters, and she's been really into like casting and just really trying to get into it. And they went out and not a single nibble, nothing at all. And then I don't know. He said she decided to throw a frog, and twice, I guess, there were some blowups on there. And I mean, who's to say? When you have a blow up like that, who's to say, unless you get a really good look of exactly what it is? Was it a bass? Was it something else? Who knows? It could have been a crappie.
I'm thinking it was obviously a crappie. After
it
what
could have been a crappie. Today. Yeah. I mean, maybe that was a pattern. Maybe today was just a topwater thing, and that's what they're all about.
Yeah,
I can't remember the biggest thing they were about.
The biggest thing from today, I immediately after I got off the water, the first person I called was the dude Bud.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I spent so much time. My whole high school 4 years was spending time on the river with him.
Yep.
Like we just fished. We lived close to each other. He had a canoe, and we just hauled that thing up and down a hill, and they got called names by his father. That's what we did.
Of course. Yeah.
And I said to him, yeah, I don't know if it worked, but it's supposed to. When I called him, I said, we were born 20 years too early. I said, with the wind blowing with the current, how long, I gave him 2 points on the river, and I said, how long do you think it would have taken us in that old canoe of yours to get to and from that point? And he started laughing. He said, 45 minutes, if not an hour. I said, I did it in 10 to 15 in the pedal kayak. I went,
Crazy,
and
right?
I wasn't breaking a sweat. I'm just like, all right, this is just rolling. Holy shit. Yeah. This weekend was eye-opening for using that kayak. So
that's awesome.
I do have to get in touch with Three Bells. Did I tell you? I think I've been discussing with you the issues I had with the rack I built for it.
Yes, you did.
So I'm basically going to build a smaller rack that with the wheels should act as like a large weight supporting, shall we say, immobile kickstand.
Yeah. No, I think that's the way to do it,
Yeah, too bad lumber prices are through the roof, and I'm going to pay more for that than a kayak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is pretty bad. It really is pretty rough. We'll come across something. You find something, which you just got to repurpose,
I know.
I have some repurpose.
I have a few
you know who's the guy to talk to about that?
Who?
Nelson.
I know. Fucking MacGyver.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's so I can find something. Oh, good stuff, guys. Yeah. Anyway, I think I want to take a quick look at our notes here, right here, and see if I think we nailed everything.
I lost mine, so you're in charge. I'm normally the note guy. When I lost the internet, the notes went to the void and never came back with me.
Well,
they went to the light.
We mentioned the fishing beds douche. We talked about all the tourneys. We talked about Bonnie's amazing quote, George Costa being an example, nibblers at the Chicopee River, the rack and wheels, and of course the happy anniversary stuff. And then we did mention Canute. So I think that about does it, man. This is a good show, Just before we jump into our interview segment, we have for the first time, actually, we have a repeat guest that's going to be on the show, and it is Delirious Angler. And I want to mention Delirious posted a link. He's got I haven't seen his video yet. I recommend everybody go and follow this man's YouTube page. Check it out, because the vision that he has for this stands to be some of the most innovative and interesting and fun YouTube fishing content I've ever heard anybody speak of. So I would highly recommend go track him down on, if you follow him on Instagram, his link is right there in his bio. You can check it out there, but he posted a video. I want to check that out. We have a great conversation, kind of walk down memory lane and talk about, some good stuff that's happened out on the water. And, you want to talk about getting excited for tournaments. He is all about it. And I know you and him have some fishing coming up soon. So that's huge.
We have a date.
You have a date. Awesome.
He was very excited because one of the places that I want to make sure I venture to during this week of extremely intense fishing is Spookyville that we've mentioned, the place that kind of creeps me out. And he's just been dying to get up there. So who am I to deny Delirious Spookyville? So we're gonna head up there this early this week. We have our date set.
Yep, he's going to have the. I don't know if he's bringing the which Old Town topwater. If he's bringing the 10 or the 12, but he's definitely going to have his proton pack ready to go. Yeah, and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, he did ask about the conditions, the launch conditions, and I said a trailer probably won't cut it there. So he looks like he's going to be he's going to be loading up a pedal kayak into the bed of his truck, and off we go.
Nice.
So this may be the last podcast you hear of me for any number of reasons, possibly him too.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Yeah. I mean, I mean, with him up there, I'm more concerned of anything else you might run into, Have you seen he's been out fishing with the one contact in? Have you seen this?
Yeah, he's been doing that stuff.
It's kind of crazy. Oh, good stuff. It is. It's kind of crazy.
Well, it'd be funnier or crazier if he kept like bumping into stuff on one side because he can't see so good.
Ow. Just always had like a constant
Hey,
bruise, like right
why
here.
is your left eye one color and the whole left side or the whole right side of your face another color? Bruised.
Exactly. Awful guys. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break. We're going to hear from our good friends over at Three Bells Outfitters. I mean, it's a Sunday night recording, guys, but I think that this is going to be a damn good show. So stick around for that. We got Delirious Angler coming up afterwards. We'll be right back with that, and then we'll wrap it all up with a bow at the very end for you. All right. We'll see you in a bit. All right. Cool.
Stop. Oh, look at the crew we got on here. We got, hey, Matt Bodwin. Matt, I haven't seen you in a couple of years. Hope things are well. Let me know when you want to fish. Send me a message. Biggest Nickus, go pound sand. Nelson, go wipe your ass with a birch tree. And Goody, where's the work turtle, brother? Where are we at? What's up? Towsley says hi. I see him all the time. That's all I got.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff.
I'm going to eat my chips. I have like crumbs left.
Eat your chips, man. Eat your freaking chips. Yeah, I hooked into today. Well, we'll talk about this at the end, but I hooked into a log today, and you would have thought I hooked like a 23-incher. Like I gave this a hook set where it shifted all my body weight, just yank, and I was like, that's not a fish. It happens though. When in doubt, pull it out. Thanks, Skip. All right, here we go. I'm going to roll this sucker.
I'm good. Go.
You're good? All righty. 3, 2. Well, guys, that about wraps up another great show. I mean, this has been a lot of weeks that we've been doing this, and I'm really excited that we got to this point, and we've got we've kind of accomplished way more than I ever set out to do. So lots of good things coming up. My schedule has been insane with recording interviews. I've got some good stuff, and coming up very soon, I've got Jeff Holloway, Big Nasty on Instagram, one of the Hookset Hoodlum fam. He went and spent some time with Lockwood Fishing, and the catches were of epic proportion. Hands down. I mean, absolutely hands down. Great stuff. In fact, I think in the Hookset Hoodlum Pro Staff chat, there's a very heartfelt goodbye in the after their last day on the water, and I guess it got Rachel a little verklempt. So there's plans too. A bunch of us are supposed to get together and fish soon, so I'm hoping to be able to make that work.
I don't know if you saw the end of that recently. I caught some of it when I got off the water today. That I don't know if it was an invitation, a challenge, or a little of both, but Cody had said, look, Nasty made it down here. Bobby and Sean, let's go.
Let's do it.
I just put a thumbs up and a smile and said, yeah, We'll consider that kind of thing. I didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, it's thumbs up and a smile. And his response was, I mean it, Stretch.
Yep. Oh, he does. He wants us to go down there so badly.
He does.
It'll happen eventually. It will.
Yeah.
We'll get down there eventually. But we got lots of good stuff coming up, guys. Lots more fantastic things. One thing I do want to mention is that today I did something while I was out fishing, and it felt good for about a second. I was working a jig along this one lane. Actually, there's a handful of down trees over here, so it's a little bit tricky. You get these corners, and it's really easy to get caught up in there. And there's a couple of just random limbs that kind of cross over in weird spots. So you got to be careful when you have a jig in there and kind of work it slowly. But again, if you're not losing gear here and there, then you're not trying. Like you got to lose the fear of throwing this gear where it's going to get caught up. But I happen to be dragging right over the top of this one limb and let the bait drop down, drag a little bit more, and I thought I had a bite, and I just set that big ass hook into the biggest log I have ever. And I mean, when I went, it was almost like I was looking to crack, like break the rod. I'm just like, yup, there it is. That's a big one. It was the first hit I would have had all day. No go. So pour a little bit out for the jig that we lost today.
That sucks. Goodbye, jig.
Yeah,
served Bobby well.
I've freed that thing up so many times though, and it wasn't the ideal hook, so it's okay. It had to go. It lived its good life. But what can we do? So Lots more good stuff to come, guys. All kinds of great interviews and everything. We'll have more tournament updates as the weeks start rolling and as we start adding to our coverage of what we'll have for results. You guys are going to get all that stuff, and the tour directors are going to be supplying me with breakdowns or audio files, and we'll be cutting clips together. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be a whole thing. So, and it's all going to happen right within this regular Tuesday episode. Also, big news too. We're 2 episodes in for the shit show, and you might be wondering, why has the shit show with Bobby and Elise not come out yet? And the reason is we're just trying to get to the level of having 5 to 6 in the can ready to go, because Elise is super busy. She gets, lots of trade shows and she travels from different tournaments and things like that. This last one, we have a really interesting conversation about the top sheet. You know, the top sheet, when you buy a set of sheets, like, do you use the top sheet, or do you just it stays in the closet, never to be touched?
Nope. That thing's closet bound from day one.
Okay.
Fuck
Yeah. That was the conversation that we had. But then I went and I said, well, with your background, I'd like to name some professional bass anglers and I want you to give me your opinion on if they're a top sheet user or not. And I mean, you got to understand, we record this very late at night after a few libations, and it is for sheer entertainment, and she always delivers and brings something out of me, which is good. It's very entertaining. I highly recommend it. So that's going to be coming up after we get another 3 or 4 of them in the can, and we'll start putting them out every week. Let us know if there's a certain day you'd like that to drop, if you want it to be like on Fridays, if you want it to be on Thursdays, anything like that. We'll put that together. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and we're gonna make it all happen. But I love it. Big thank you to all of you for sticking with us for this whole year, seeing where everything has gone. I mean, you're talking about, in fact, to bring up George Costa once again, he had reached out to me, and he was one of those. I know this is something that some podcast listeners do, where they just go to the first episode and they listen to them all in order and they go down that road. So when you look back at it, you're like, holy crap, like how much things have changed in this year. Unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. It's been fantastic for me, fantastic for Sean. We're both getting to do some amazing shit that we never really thought was going to be something that we could get away with doing and have like this sort of result. I mean, it's really, really fantastic. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are pretty freaking awesome.
1 year's worth of episodes. Most important statistic, 0 host/co-host divorces.
It's true. It's true.
All right. That's our biggest feat, is that we have somehow managed to convince the women we love not to leave us over this shit.
It's true, man. I'm telling you. And I mean, it's been some close calls. No, I'm just Oh my goodness, guys. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We appreciate you so much. Remember, if you enjoyed this experience of seeing the making of the sausage, so to speak, when we produce these shows and we mess stuff up and all that stuff, we do it on YouTube and all that. Well, if you join our Patreon, become a jighead over at jigsandbigs.com, check that out there. It's $5 a month. You're directly supporting the show, helping us make things happen. The more members we get over there, the cooler stuff that we can do. And we're just kind of getting things started over there, just sort of getting our feet wet at Patreon. So if you love this show, go over there and sign up. You can get access to all of this stuff as it gets doled out to every single episode, not just once in a while when we're doing this on, an off night or something. But lots of great stuff happening, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of it all. Take good care of yourselves. Sean, do you have anything you'd like to add?
We need to start working on the bull ball challenge. Anybody knows how to cook bull balls and is in the Western Mass, Northern Connecticut area?
Interesting you bring that up. So remember I said Saturday I really didn't do a whole lot with getting out on the water. It wasn't an unproductive day.
Oh.
I took a deep dive and messed up my YouTube search history looking up recipes for Rocky Mountain oysters, and I found a contender. I think I'm going to end up cooking these things myself.
You sure?
They're also about $20 a pound.
Scallops.
what I'm thinking is what we should do is make a presentation like this. We need to buy a pair and make them for the garnish and boil them for safety. And then leave those, to the side as, like I said, a garnish. I've been told that the end product tastes very much like it has the texture of a slightly overcooked chicken nugget, but it's not unpleasant at all. That it's very neutral, and maybe we'll have maybe we'll do a bring your own sauce type thing, and like or do a sauce bar or something like that. I'll bring down this magic little bottle. We'll see what happens.
I can tell you what mine will be bathing in some Nando's before.
I was going to say Nando's, man. That's the way to do it. We'll go and do that. But I'm thinking like we'll make this nice big board with all Rocky Mountain oysters, and then suspended on the top on like a bed of kale. Just the whole bull testicle to remind everybody and pay homage to the bull. You know what I mean?
Hair on and everything, or what?
I'm not talking about the full-ons. You can go clip that sucker yourself.
Somebody's going to come back and be like, how'd it go today, honey? Sean and Bobby are a couple of sick bastards. They had a whole giant fucking bull nutsack on a table. Why? Well, look at it. You know what? If you want to do that with a bed of kale, surprisingly that you mentioned the kale, we did my spring yard cleanup. Me and my sons went out there, cleaned up our yard. Nice. On Friday, I think it was. And surprise, surprise, I had leaves that got into my garden. I have a raised bed garden.
Yep.
And the kale, because kale grows in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
All the kale grew right back. We got plenty of kale.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
I ain't done shit to that garden. And the kale said, I got your back, bro.
I got you, buddy. Nice.
Yeah.
Kale is hardy, man. It is. Yep. It's not, I know it's like the trendy vegetable too. Like a lot of people are just like, oh, such and such kale. I've been eating kale for a long time. Kale, collards, chard. I love it all.
I'm new to the kale game, but I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down with it. But so that's the idea. Yeah. Boats and Scroats is for sure happening. We got to get firm on a date. On a good solid date of when this is going to happen, and
a good thick date.
A good thick date. Damn, boy.
Hey, where's he on your soundboard?
I haven't migrated that stuff over to this computer yet. Fail.
Yes.
Fail. 0.0 credit for that one.
And you know who's upset with that too is Howie. Howie's very upset with that.
By the way, very little feedback with Howie. We did get some, and it was like that was hilarious, or it was either one of two extremes, that was hilarious, or you guys are out of your minds, or a mixture of both. But I mean, I'll say I probably heard from like 3 people. I thought we were going to ruffle some feathers with Howie.
Nobody gives a shit about Howie.
I know. Fuck Howie. He's still here, by the way, but it is what it is.
He's lurking around.
He's skulking. He's doing his own skulking around. Yeah. Anyway, guys, we'll let you off the hook for this episode here. We'll be back with more good stuff for you in a week, and lots more really good interviews coming up too. And we'll see you guys in a bit. All right, we'll see you guys in 7 days. What the hell am I talking about? Take good care of yourselves. Get on some good fish. Get out there and catch them, man. Tight lines. Beauteous.
We talked a lot of fishing right there.
We did.
I don't remember ever talking that much fishing.
No, it was nice. I mean, it's been a long, long time. It was nice.
Winter was awful because we didn't talk fishing.
Yeah,
we made shit up.
It's funny because you probably recorded for about 25 minutes there, and then the interview was a good 45 minutes. With Delirious, and then we're over an hour, maybe an hour and a half on that first intro, and it was all fishing. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm getting on that Wednesday pattern, man.
We're in a groove. So I'll try. Sorry about this whole thing with the KO tournament, but
no worries, dude.
Did I tell you what exactly happened?
No, we're still live, by the way. Just to
that's fine. Oh no, that's fine. Right. No, it was a clerical error on both of our parts.
Yep.
I made the mistake of looking quickly at a calendar and typed in Monday the 12th. He did not verify that Tuesday or I'm sorry. I typed it in Tuesday the 12th instead of Monday the 12th.
Yeah.
So he took Tuesday the 13th off. I looked at the 12th and took Monday and got my shit settled.
Gotcha.
So I sent him a message saying, "Hey, we still good for tomorrow?" Because I hadn't heard anything. He's like,
I thought it was Tuesday.
Yeah. And then I said, okay, so we actually made it for the same place a half hour earlier on 420.
There you go. Nice. A little bit of knockout on the 20th. Sweet.
Oh, yeah. First, we have a knockout matchup, and then we go home and get knocked out.
Nice. I love it.
Yep.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Sounds good to me, man.
You got anything else? We got anything else? Jerry says tis the season. Tis the season for what? Bull balls? It's always a season for bull balls, Jerry.
You can't go wrong with bull balls. I'm telling you, like I went through a number of different recipes and I'm like, all right, so this is really easy. Like there's not much that you have to, be too concerned with. In fact, I'm probably going to do all the prep here and then just do everything and keep everything right in freezer bags. And then we'll just keep everything right in the cooler. And then when we're done fishing, we'll calculate that day. But I think that's what we need to do is we need to come up with, I hate to use Facebook events, do like a private event or something like that. And then just email the folks that we want to include in this. And we'll do like we did with the DeBomb challenge. I know the Hookset Hoodlums will put it up on their channel.
Okay. Do we,
we'll record a segment there too.
Are there any ingredients I need to worry about?
Well, the main breading, we'll talk about that. I may have you choose the flour that I use. And everything else that I use is going to be like, honestly, like there's a Cajun seasoning that I was going to run by you. I don't think you're going to have an issue with it. But I'll show you the ingredients list and you can give me an idea of what's up. But that would be pretty much that. And anything else that I use is going to be whole. So it's going to be like cracked black pepper.
Yep. Are these getting fried or
they're getting deep fried? Yeah. So I'm going to use like I found a turkey cooker base, just a big propane kettle or a big propane burner, and a really wide like fryer pan with an insert. And yeah, we'll just do like that.
So we'll just have to make like, has that been used for regular fried shit in the past?
It's brand new.
Oh, perfect. Home run, dude.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. All right. I'll help you out with the flour. Let me know what you want.
Sweet. Yeah. I'm not sure what the best choice is for this, but I found that really what the key is, or some of the best like reviews that I had were to go egg wash flour like 2 to 3 times so that you get a nice healthy coating. And like, knowing you want to season each step somewhat, these are gonna be good. This is gonna be one of these things where I think people are gonna be like, so I found out I like bull balls.
Yep.
It's gonna be one of those. I don't think people are gonna be like, oh God, it's fucking terrible. But it's like Yep.
Hey, I want to bring something else up too. So all of our patrons can watch this. This will be a good conversation. So I think with the recent addition of the Hookset Pro staff to all the people with Dabari and Nate and everybody else, I think soon we should revive the trivia show.
Oh, I definitely want to bring that back. In fact, with there being so many now, not being spread everywhere. I mean, there's people all over the country, but with there being so many in the Northeast, I think we should do this live. I was thinking we should stream it. Yeah.
Do it as a live stream, or do it as a live, right? Oh, are you talking
do it live audio, and then record it.
Audio only?
Both.
Yeah, so I would
do it on the Hookset YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel, and then just do it on everything.
Now it's just a matter of everything's written.
Yep.
You can do a point if you want to do an actual point system where somebody wins something, great. If you don't, do it like fucking Whose Line Is It Anyways from England, where they just like, and Cody, you gave the correct answer, but I don't like your attitude. That's -30. Just make something up. You could be Clive. So You know?
Well, what I'm actually thinking about doing is doing it as like doing like speed quizzing, like I actually do, you know?
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yep. And maybe actually, you know what? Might not be a bad idea to just maybe talk with Lisa and use her place on an off night.
Oh, see
Because
we can get in there.
yeah, there's a great menu. The screen is right there. It's not such a huge sort of space, you know.
The downside to that is the people that are remote. How are they going to do it? They're going to like.
No, they're not. We were not going to be
Yeah.
able to include. They're going to have to be local. They're going to have to be local. So
I think.
like it'll be pro staff from Masson, Connecticut, is what I'm thinking.
See, I would think if that's an option, but I would think that there might be some excitement from
There
the
definitely
remote
would be.
contestants, you know.
My main concern is internet quality and the number of
Wow.
people. That's the biggest issue. Like
Yes,
I know like my setup here can hang, but you know, I just don't want to I don't want to look like a moron, you know, and have this go live and have it look like shit. So
Gotcha.
I have a standard I want to kind of keep it to. But I mean, if we do it live, there's no reason why we couldn't do, you know, each team puts a GoPro at their table, you know, and then it's a process of editing it down and, you know, set it up that way.
So how many people would we have? How many people are local? So there'd be Brutus, right? He's one. Delirious.
Brutus, Delirious, Damien, Nate. Yeah.
Well, Nate would be a maybe because he's 2 hours away.
This might be something he might be down to do though.
Okay. All right.
You
So
know?
Delirious, Brutus, Nate. What was the fourth you mentioned?
Damien. Yep.
Dabari.
There's also Mitch, Bill, Ken, and Andrew. Right. You would be one of those. I would be hosting.
I can't. I wrote the questions.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I would be at Casa Delisa eating a pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Okay. All right. So then who else do we have that's local? We'll go through the list. We'll figure it all out. I mean, and that's the other thing too. Like you never know who might be game to come up from just outside of the area, you know? Even with those people, if we divided it into like 3 teams, just took 3 tables.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
And good evening to Brett. Nice for making it here, Brett.
Oh, impromptu live, or did I miss the notification? May have missed the notification, Brett. We needed to record on Sunday, and we're like, you know what? It's the 1 year. Let's just do this recording session live, and then we'll put the show out on Tuesday as we see fit. But the old Facebook is making it happen.
Yep.
And now we're just sitting here chewing the fat.
Bullshit.
I'm exhausted.
Dude, I am so beat. You can see my face. Look at this. I got fisherman's burn. I'm too.
Dude.
Yeah. Yours is bad too.
It's really bad. I'm like, I can't. I haven't been so tan in April ever.
2 days. That's all it took. 2 fucking days. You should have seen Nate's knees. Nate's knees looked like people smashed tomatoes on him. It was fucking awful.
Oh yeah, man.
He's like, he goes, dude, you got any sunblock at 2:30? I'm like, yeah. Why? I go, oh my God.
It's not gonna undo that. But
yeah, you're fucked. Nah, dude, I'll be fine. It'll tan out in a week. I'm like, you're gonna die of skin cancer. Took the Yak out the first time yesterday. I'm so out of shape. Brett, where's your entries for chronic trips, brother? I ain't seen none.
Oh,
Brett's on the list. He's one of those 12 that have not submitted. So Brett and Gravy and 10 other people.
It's crazy.
Dude, I
love how Andy shook it up.
It's like, so nuts. He has embraced it.
Yeah, truly has. Like taking it like for all it's worth. I love it. Yeah, that's how I felt, Brett. Could not get a bite at all today. Didn't fish it all Saturday.
I don't know how PC it is, but I've been using my favorite phrase for that lately, both on and off the air.
I know.
I don't know if that's
Awesome.
right. You got to keep me in check. If I'm not supposed to say that, let me know. It's really wrong.
I mean, it is, but I don't know. Yeah, but I always say err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I'll watch that. I'll stop it.
Oh, all right, man. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this. We'll have a complete show for you on Tuesday. I got to figure out, do I want to fish tomorrow morning or do I want to edit and then fish later? I got to figure that or edit at night. Yeah. Well, I got to figure out what end of the days I want to do this.
Why don't we do this? Number one, let's thank Nelson for saying congratulations to us.
Yes.
Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you, Nelson. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Second off, my schedule is all jacked up now. So would you like to fish with me between 7:30 in the morning and I don't know, noon? Any of your time? Locally and close.
Yeah. I could be down for it. I could be down for it. It all depends on the. Let me see what the story is. I'd normally like to wait until Delaney gets out to school, and everybody's kind of like off and running. But we'll see. We'll figure it out.
What time is that?
She leaves here at like 20 after 8.
All right.
Yeah. So maybe we can make that work.
Yeah. Where do you want to go?
No idea. We'll figure that out.
All right.
You know, I got some shit to get together if that's the case. I got my paddle down here and my seat and all of that jazz.
Let me think then. So what would be close? What would be close and fun?
Oh, what's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow? I haven't even looked for this week.
I have no idea. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you.
I know it did rain a little bit earlier today. I don't think we got the rain.
No, we didn't get shit. I stayed out there through it. Hey, Weather Underground's been telling me lightning every day for everything. I don't know what's going on with that.
You know what's weird, dude? I was out this morning. It was probably like around 11:30, 11:45. I could have swore I heard thunder.
Really?
Yeah, I could have swore I heard thunder. And I was like, And I stopped and kind of scratched my head and was like, all right, well, we'll see if we hear it again. And if it was confirmed, nothing. So
says 53 and cloudy tomorrow in Agawam, but that's just whatever.
Yeah.
I just picked Agawam. I don't know. What would be the closest? You want to go to where shit. We could go over to Hamden Ponds. That's close.
Yeah, that's true. That is very
just
close.
Happens to be right by Mrs. Mitchell's.
That's true too. That's not a bad idea. Let's throw that in as a marker.
Okay.
We'll play it by ear. I like that.
We could also do what's it? Fucking Nashawanic. That's your favorite place, right?
That is lately has been one of my favorites.
Also close proximity. Well, relatively close proximity to Mrs. Mitchell's.
Yep.
So there's 2.
I'm always getting Nashawanic also has Bowfin. Just
I know. Oh, I know. I'd rather go there than fucking Hamden Ponds, to be quite honest.
Let's do that.
Nashawanic. I'll head there right when I drop the kids off.
Yep.
So I'll be up there a little bit before you. I'll be up there about 8. Unless you want me to pick you up, I can wait. It's not a big deal.
Oh, it's no big deal. I got to load everything up and I got to throw the rack on the car and stuff and all that. So yeah, sweet.
All right, cool. All right, so I'll meet you up there tomorrow. And like I said, I'm going to be out of there before. I mean, we can leave early if it's that shitty, and we'll just go to Mrs. Mitchell's. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not a bad idea.
All right, man.
Sounds good, man.
I'll give you a buzz in the morning. I'm gonna type up this thing for MAKB and listen to some death metal, and that's gonna be my life.
Sounds like a plan.
Half hour.
Nice. You have a good one, man.
Later, buddy.
See ya.